Welcome to the InTalksicated Podcast, a weekly comedy talk show that dives into the personal lives of comedians, experts, and creators. I'm your host, Sarah McClellan, a very amateur stand-up comedian and self-proclaimed sad girl. It's the comedy podcast with a lot of heart. Feel hard and talk hard. This is the InTalksicated Podcast.
Make the right choices. We didn't even talk about polyamory.
Yeah, we can do that.
Can I just have one quick question?
Yeah, of course.
About polyamory.
Yeah.
Because you're polyamorous.
Yes, I'm So for the listeners, I'm polyamorous. I've been with my partner for 3 years. We both have partners that we see separately. We both have partners that we see together. We have friendships with each other's partners. We have friends that we sleep with and hang out with. It really runs the gamut.
How do you organize
Yeah.
all of these relationships? That is my main question for polyamorous people. When I think of the time commitments.
I think that the kids who were so excited to get their agenda books on the first day of school are like the polyamorous kids. That's honestly how I feel. If you were the kid who in high school, you're so cool in high school, you have to highlight your agenda. You have purple is student council and green is yearbook and whatever. And again, I say that as someone who was one of those kids. Yeah. Oh yeah. No, I was I love organization. It takes trust and it takes organization. We have 3 calendars that we share. So I have mine, she has hers, and then we have one together. So I'm starting this new show this week. Sam really wants to be there, so that's on our calendar as ours. But I'm doing a show on Thursday, and she doesn't need to come. She doesn't probably want to come to all the shows anymore. So I just put it as mine, right?
Got you.
But then we also put in dates with so-and-so, we're having dinner with these people, we're doing this, right? So it's all in there and we're just both responsible for updating it.
And so my kind of view as a dumb straighty is that
also though, this is what I want to say. I think that's so funny, dumb straighty, because I think that as we have romanticized mental health, so too have we glamorize
certain sexualities
and all sorts of stuff, right? The reason I talk about being queer is because it separates me from other people, especially other stand-ups.
Yeah.
Right? Before I moved here, I never talked about it. I knew I fooled around with guys all the time. Right.
Yeah.
But I never identified that way because I didn't feel the need to. Now I feel why not? It's part of who I am. It's not who I am.
Yeah.
But I think that I think our community, the queer community, needs to stop shitting on straighties or no, just because it's it doesn't.
Thank you, Ryan.
Because otherwise, look, are you as cool as us? Definitely not. We're way cooler. We're way cooler, but that you're not bad people.
Well, yeah, and I think that it's interesting because I feel straight men have it the worst because I think with straight men, we just assume they suck. We just assume they suck.
Yeah.
Straight women, it's maybe you're bi, or maybe you know what I mean. I think there's this thing of well, you're not fully straight, right? You're a woman, you're not fully straight.
Well,
and it's I think it's easier to hate on straight men. I've gotten a lot of people recently being shocked that I'm straight,
right?
Which I find shocking because
why though? You have big queer energy.
That's what I've been told, and I never thought I did, and it makes me very happy that I do.
It's your anger. That's the big queer energy.
But yeah, the
happy women aren't gay. Women aren't gay, and I don't mean lesbian. I just mean queer in general. Happy women are happy because they get happy. Women are straight because all they need is a man's love and to have babies or whatever. I'm just kidding. This is all done. Delete all this. I'm just kidding.
What's happening?
No, you don't have to delete it.
But
I just think, you guys have it easier.
On the train of thought of the straight hate or whatever.
Yeah.
It is weird being someone who fucking loves queer people.
Yeah.
And I'm asexual, so technically I'm on the rainbow.
Right.
And then going up there and going men.
Yeah.
And that's why at Foggy when you hosted, I went up and I was just I'm straight.
Yeah.
Just because every comic who went up before me was like, I'm queer.
Yeah.
I'm like,
But it's funny. Some nights it's like that. Like some nights
Yeah.
it's like that. But like,
Yeah.
so this is what I was going to say. Two things. One is the thing about straight men, as someone who like before I moved here, I don't know that I was like passing as straight, but like, I think because I mostly dated women, I only dated women. People just assumed I was straight.
it was an assumption.
But I think what needs to be built into the narrative is that it's not that like white men inherently suck. It's that we've been like taught that we don't have to try. Like that is really what it comes down to. So like if I'm watching TV, right, and someone like, you know, these sitcoms, and it's like an overweight, balding white man with this like super hot wife. And so if you watch that, you're like, yeah, look, that guy has it. I don't have to try. Right. And I think that part of it, that just has to be unlocked a little bit. That like,
Interesting.
you know, if you've never been pushed back on anything, which like we haven't been, right? Like it doesn't mean that you haven't had shit in your life. Of course, we all have struggles. Like, you know, it's not like white people don't have struggles. Of course we do.
Yeah.
Right. But we have different kinds of struggles. Right. And again, I think that what we need to be looking for is you as a white person, me as a queer person, so-and-so as a black person, whatever. Where are our common problems? And you know what, Sarah? It's the fucking rich. Okay. What we need to do is we need to fucking take down the rich because those are the fuckers. And then the other thing is all roads lead to dick. This is the thing. All roads lead to dick. If you're a bisexual man, you are gay and you haven't admitted it yet. If you're a bisexual woman, you are just showing off, but you will end up with a man. Like that is why people, that's people's
idea of it.
People's idea of it. It has changed so much now from when I was 18 and like had friends who had come out as gay. And we're like, Ryan, you're gay. You just don't know it. You're gay. You just don't know it. You're gay. You just don't know it. Because they told me in later years they were insecure about it, right? But I didn't. I was like, no, I'm straight. I date women, right? Because at that time, the idea of being bisexual was like, you're just gay and you don't know it yet. Like you couldn't really label yourself it. You could, but that was the assumption.
Bisexuality seems to be one that people struggle with.
Yeah.
In terms of like, there are those those assumptions
But
and biases.
that's built into monogamy.
It is, yeah.
Right? It's built into monogamy because how can you like a man and a woman when you can only be with one?
Right. So there's this, it's either or for a lot of people, not, and there is that concept of, you know, like I've been grappling and trying to open my mind to the idea of like women who come out as bi but have never been with women.
Yeah.
That's one that I'm trying to like,
Yeah.
I'm really trying to accept that idea.
Yeah.
It's not one that I really like, because I've thought about it too. Like I had that like fivesome and I was like, yeah, it wasn't for me.
Yeah.
Like I was doing it for the male gaze.
Yeah.
Like I would hook up with a woman if it made a man happy. That's me. But
Yeah.
I'm a straight woman, everybody.
But that's also
I'm a
like
straight
there's
woman.
nothing wrong with that. Like
Yeah.
like to me anyways, I'm like whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
Do.
Yeah.
It's as long as you're not hurting anybody, and when you do hurt someone, you take responsibility for it.
Exactly right.
Then like,
Yeah.
you know, who cares? Like you want to experiment. And you know what? Who knows? You could have done that and it could have been so magic that all of a sudden you're like, wait a second.
Maybe.
Like, it could have been. It
But that's
wasn't,
how I
but
kind of
that's-
knew I was straight,
Yeah,
right? Because I was like, oh yeah, no, like it's not really there. But there are people who come out and have never been with a woman and maybe like they're very happy in a relationship with a man.
Yeah.
And they come out as bi and it's because they've realized, okay, that attraction is real. Like I'm really attracted to women. And you can be and also still be in a relationship.
And there are some,
look at that.
There are some, you know, there are some men. So what I like about saying queer, and we can talk a little bit more if you want. You can edit this. I don't care.
No,
I
I'm
don't
cool.
have anywhere to
I'm
be.
cool if you are.
But like, yeah. So the thing about being queer, what I like about queerness is I always felt bisexual was 50-50. In my mind, that's what I thought people would think. You 50% like guys, you 50% like girls.
Yes.
I always felt it was more fluid. So like there are some guys that I am very gay for. Okay, like very, very gay for.
Right.
There are some guys that I am very straight for and do not want anything to do with them. Right. Do you know what I mean? Like, so I like queer because it feels very fluid, right? And then it's just the person, right? And then I guess you can get into the idea of like there's all sorts of like demisexual, whatever. Like I fall in love with the person. I just like queer. It's easy. I don't want to explain it.
I like
and
it
it's
too.
an easy way to explain it, which is basically I feel more fluid with it, right?
Yeah, and it's a great way of saying not straight.
Yeah, absolutely. I had this on my Grindr.
It's a great way of saying cool.
Yeah, exactly. And it feels like I know that it was a slur for a long time.
Yeah.
But it feels almost nostalgic in a way to say queer. Like it feels like fun. And
it does feel fun.
Yeah. No, it's whatever you want to do. But this is the thing, what it comes down to. If someone wants to identify as like you, right? So there are probably some people out there who feel something like demisexuality should not be on the rainbow spectrum, right?
Tons.
I'm sure, right? I'm sure.
Tons.
But like whoever makes these decisions, which like isn't you and isn't me and isn't anybody we vote for, has decided that that's on the rainbow flag, right? So when you Google it, that's what it says. Someone out there has made that decision, right? And so I don't, I don't care. However you want to identify, cool, that's fine, right? If I had a problem with it though, and I don't, then I just don't have to talk to you about it.
Yeah,
like, do you know what I mean?
Right,
I can bitch about it behind your back, and if you hear about it, you can ask me about it, and great. But like, I don't need to like have some vendetta against you, right?
Yeah.
You know, it's okay. It's okay. We don't all have to like everything about everyone else.
It's so fucking true.
Yeah.
And it is, the asexual thing is a strange one because it feels like I'm demi, but I'm straight.
Yeah.
So it feels weird saying that. Yeah. It's like a sexual orientation, but I can also be straight and demi.
Yeah. Well, and I guess like the thing is,
buffet
the thing is that like it's a little buffet.
I could choose a little.
I get it. It's that. It's, you know, I just think that like we have so many terms now.
Yeah, there's so many.
There's so many, and I love that. People complain about it, but I love it because to me, if I had half of those terms when I was that age, like I might have figured out who I was a little bit sooner and maybe not made a lot of the mistakes that I made. Right. And so to me, I think that like the more knowledge, the more ability, you know, if someone wants to talk about their mental health, great. Maybe it's going to help someone because when we were young, no one was talking about it. Yeah. Right. If people are open about sexuality, that's great because when I was young, people weren't open about it. And it led to me doing some fucking dumbass things. Right. And like, let alone friends, not friends, but people I know who did worse, who killed themselves. Like, you know, if we're saving some of those people, then
for some extra words in the fucking dictionary.
Yeah, exactly.
Then fuck yeah.
And you know what? Like, look, I always say to people, so I see someone now and then who is non-binary, right? Okay. And when I met them, I said right away, I was like, look, I'm going to fuck this up at points, right? I don't mean to. Please know I'm not doing it on purpose. I'm just slow and I'm dumb and you look like this gender to me, right?
Yes,
so sometimes,
so honest.
Right? But I will always try. Please correct me. You know, if I don't correct myself, don't hesitate to correct me. If it ever gets to a point where it's bothering you so much that you feel you need to end our friendship, please tell me so that like, I don't think it will, but if it does, and now and then I say the wrong pronoun for them and I apologize and we move on. Right. And so.
And do they get mad?
No.
Yeah.
No. This person is much chiller. No, I shouldn't say much chiller. It's not as important to this person as it is to some other people.
Yeah, because that is a very tough one. Yeah. That's a tough one.
Is it ignorance? Is it maliciousnse? Or is it
context?
Intelligent?
It's the context.
Right?
Yeah, and then that's the thing. And I just feel like it goes back to what we were talking about earlier about like the how can people learn if you're yelling at them? It's the same thing with pronouns. Well, how can people learn if you instantly just attack them for their little mistake?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess it's not a little mistake to them, but do you know what I mean? Like a mistake that was not malicious.
Yeah. Well, like I think it's the reason why if you look at, you know, again, maliciousness, ignorance, and intelligence, again, I don't know, I just am making this up, but you know, Harvey Weinstein, Jeffrey Epstein, all those people, that's malicious. You know, Louis C.K., whatever, that's ignorant. But I think we're willing to accept Aziz Ansari. I don't think he's going to have any problems doing stuff again. He's going to have a career again. Yeah. And I think it's because of how he handled it. He handled it intelligently and honestly. And like, it wasn't enough for everybody. Right. Some people it's not enough for. But I think most level-headed people would say like, yeah, Aziz Ansari handled it better than Louis C.K. did. Right. What they did was different. Like, you know, hugely
on the
different.
Spectrums of things.
Right. But, you know, this person handled it this way. And so let's see how the next person handles it. Mm-hmm. Right. Mm-hmm. And because there'll be more, I'm sure. Yeah.
I think the lesson here is like, think before you react.
Yeah.
Think and get a vibe check before you react with somebody, because we're all learning. and well, not all of us, but the people who are learning or wanting to learn.
Yeah.
I have a question about, okay, so we were talking about how you organize the polyamory stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, so my dumb question is, I've seen an influx of like guys on dating apps who are poly. Mm-hmm. Some of them will say it in their profile, some of them don't, and then they just ask the woman.
Right.
They don't ask, are you polyamorous?
Yeah.
They ask, would you date a polyamorous man?
Right.
And I find that a little strange.
Yeah.
I have a question to be asked because it's like, I don't know. It just feels like a weird question.
Yeah. Well, okay. Like, so let me break this off in chunks. So first of all, I am a person who has it in my profile. It's there. Like it's there. Like you can see it.
Love that.
It's not.
Those are my favorite people.
Now that being said, I will just say, that doesn't always mean the women read it. Like I will be talking to someone and it will become pretty clear pretty quickly that they have not read my profile, which like is super flattering. Is super flattering that like what I feel as my
that is so
like
flattering.
My strength is I think writing a good bio, not my pictures. So if they didn't even get to the bio, they're like, no, this guy's hot enough. Like that's flattering. That's
Please
flattering.
use that in a joke somehow. That's great.
My God.
That's a funny joke.
Okay, let me write it down.
Yeah,
Flattering.
No, it is because you're not wrong.
Yeah.
Like it
Yeah.
It's this weird compliment thing that we get when it's like, oh, you didn't read my bio.
But then it's like this weird thing of like, okay, now I have to be like, hey, you probably didn't read my bio. You should go read it. Yeah. Let me know what you think about it. And sometimes I just get deleted, which is fair. That's not everybody's thing. It shouldn't be everybody's thing, right? Mm-hmm. When the queers take over the world, we need some good straights who know how to run things, right? Like that's the thing. You guys are better organized than the queers. That's what I find.
That's funny.
Yeah. Gay men are very chaotic, but that's a topic for another. This is something I'm learning in my life.
My favorite chaotic kind of person.
Yeah, me too. I mean, they're awesome. They're awesome chaos, right? But like, we need to be sad for the white gays. Like, honestly, like they are a mess. Like, you know, you never see lesbians like fucking not being able to find their keys. They know where their keys are. Like, you know, no, I'm just saying. Anyway.
Oh, that's so funny.
So let's with the caveat that I have it in there. Okay, I have it in there. That's what I believe people should do. Yeah. Bottom line, that's what I think you should be upfront and honest from the get-go. Now, it's hard because not everyone is out of the, like, you know, out to their friends and family. But if they see on a dating app, they're going to figure it out quickly. And if you have polyamory in there, they're going to say, oh, I didn't know they were polyamorous and move on. Right? Does that make sense?
Yes.
So I think it's weird to not have it in there.
I do too.
If you ask it right away, I think that that's better.
Yes.
But I think the other problem is that there is such a stigma with polyamory that I understand why people don't want to be as open about it. Right? So again, it's this vicious cycle of like, you know,
damned if you do,
damned if you do, and damned if you don't. Now, again, the easiest thing to me is put it out there. If someone I know sees it, they're either going to come and ask me or they're going to tell everybody. And a lot of people already know anyways. So like, that's fine. Right. And then it's there. You don't have, it's one bridge you don't have to cross. Right. There's enough bridges trying to date. Mm-hmm. Now, I think part of the problem is for a lot of people, polyamory means I get to fuck you when I want, when I don't want to fuck my partner. Right. I think for a lot of people, that's how it sounds to normies like yourself or to other.
That's the stigma, right?
Yeah, that's the stigma.
I think people think, oh, they just want to fuck everybody.
It's not just a stigma because it happens. Look, I don't think that all stereotypes are, no. I would say most stereotypes aren't true, right?
Yeah.
But stereotypes are a stereotype for a reason.
That's right.
And like, you know, that reason might just be that we like start to tell a whole bunch of dumb blonde jokes and now there's a stereotype that blonde women are dumb. Or there were people who, you know, there was a long time where there was a bunch of dumb blondes around and that's where the stereotype came from. I don't know.
Yeah.
Right? You know, I don't know if Marilyn Monroe is like the dumb blonde and that's where we get it from. I don't know. Right?
Yeah.
Because she was smart as fuck. So.
Yeah. No, she was.
What a fucking tangent. Oh my God, I'm talking too much. I hope it's fucking endearing.
It's a weird thing because I just feel like I love the people who put it in their profile.
Yeah.
I think dating apps should do a better job of making people say, And if you haven't figured it out, you haven't figured it out. But like, if you know you're poly, you should put poly.
Yeah.
And not match with people who aren't
because
poly.
you tweeted about this. I saw you tweet about it.
Did I?
Yeah, about like all the polyamorous men online, or like why can't polyamorous couples like fuck off, or like something like that.
Well, here's the thing. Like I don't love. There's a certain type of poly guy.
Yeah.
That really grinds my gears, and unfortunately that's the type of guy that ruins me for the whole thing.
Right, of course.
And that's unfortunate, and I wish that wasn't the case. But it is the one that kind of will flirt, talk with you a lot, knows you're monogamous.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden is like, would you date a poly guy? And it's just like, why? What are we doing? What are you doing?
Yeah.
Because you're also wasting your time with me.
Yeah.
Is the thing.
Well,
not only are you wasting my time, because I just would never date a poly guy. It has to be the queen or nobody.
Right. Yeah. No, of course. And like, but again, like you don't have to. Like, and that's the thing. Like, I think that what's so funny is like, so you did that tweet, right? Like, and like I
forget what it was. That's fine.
Do you know what I'm talking about though? I mean, I could have been, you know what? It might have even been someone else. That all being said, like, I feel like it's not something that you haven't said. Like, or, here. Oh no, that's zodiac signs.
Because I guess my thing is...
Well, no, okay. Wait.
I don't like when it feels a little creepy.
Yeah.
And a little bit like you're trying to persuade me into being poly. Or the question of, would you ever date or would you ever see a polyamorous guy? It's implying, like, is it okay if you fuck me and I still fuck other people?
Yeah.
But I also know you're monogamous and that's not your thing.
Well, so
that's where I get mad.
Yeah, I mean, it's like a bait and switch.
Because I'm just kind of like, what are you, what's happening? It feels manipulative.
Right.
The people who are like, I'm poly, I'm into poly people. Are you poly? And I say, no. And then we move on.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's great. No one's time was wasted.
Yeah. That is like, so, okay. I don't even know where to start with all that. Because I have so many thoughts. The thing is, to me, the more information, look, you're not going to go on a date and get every single thing about the person, right? They're going to share with you what they're comfortable with and what it's been easy for them to share with other people in the past.
Yes.
Right? Sam is one of the first people I ever dated that I dated long term, who made it very comfortable for me to say on our first date that I was queer, that I was into men and women, that I, a whole host of other things.
You weren't poly at that time, though.
No.
Right.
No.
Okay.
But she made it very easy for me to do that.
Yeah.
I think I made it easy for her to be forward with all her stuff because I'm not a judgmental person, right? And therefore, everyone I meet, I share with them as much as I possibly want to with them at that point because I care about them. And but like they might never know everything about me because I don't want them to. I want them to like me for who I am. Anything else doesn't maybe matter. Right. So to me, when you go out on a date with someone or you match with someone on a dating app, I'm not saying they have to be like, hey, look, like just an example, like HSV, like herpes, right? Is pretty common. Yeah. A lot of people have it, right? Yeah. That might be something that you don't put on there because you're like, hey, look, I want to get to know you a bit so that you know that I'm someone who like takes this, like I take the medication for it. I am very aware of it. I want to prove to you. If I just list it in there, you might not have swiped right because you don't know. Whatever.
True. And once you like, and I do think that that's one of those things where, okay, you want to date, maybe there's an attraction, maybe there's a chemistry.
Yeah.
Then you address it. Like that's how I would talk. I don't know if that's right.
No, I agree. But I want as much of your honesty as you're willing to tell me because that's the way I can make the best informed decision about how I want to proceed with you as a human being. Right. Right. So to me, why would I waste someone's time by not putting polyamory in there?
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
Whereas like, I might, there's other things I wouldn't put in there, but that's one where I'm like, this is who I am. Like, I'm not looking to drop my polyamory, right? Like, having, again, just to use herpes, because it's just an easy example that came up off my head, right? Like having that is something where it's like, look, like, you can make an informed decision once you get to know me. You don't need to know this about me to know me. right? Like it's a part of me, but it's not who I am.
Yes.
Whereas polyamory is who I am. I'm polyamorous, right? Like I'm polyamorous and I'm queer. And those are things that I am that are they mean different things to different people. For some people, polyamory is just fucking around, right?
Yeah, and that's where I get...
It's not just the perception of it. It's not just the perception of it. Because
it is what it is for some people.
It is what it is. For me, the most wonderful thing about polyamory is that I do not have to be everything for one person. And I do not need everything from one person, right? So if Sam is having a hard day, okay, and she needs me, right? But I'm having a hard day, then like I want to be there for her, right? But I know maybe she can't be there for me in the same way because she's having a really bad day. Then I have another partner that I love, that I care about, that I can be as open and honest as possible, that I can talk to and who is there for me and who loves me. And yeah, you can have that in friends. You can have that in friends. That's amazing. Like that for some people, they can get that from a friendship, right? For some people, they can get it from a secondary relationship.
Yeah.
And then on top of that is like, I think that I think a lot of people can't understand how you can love someone else, how you can full on have a relationship with someone else. I didn't understand it till I had it. So I get it, right? And it's not for everybody at all. But I think more people can understand like, yeah, maybe I don't want to fuck the same person for the rest of my life. Like I think more people can accept like, hey, you know what? Like that's cool. I only want to love this one person, but like, I maybe want to fuck some other people too. So that is
that poly?
I would not call that poly. Now there are people who would. Okay. Everyone's got their own. That's the thing. I love this. There's so many ways to talk about it, right? It's so exciting because you can talk about it. So I wouldn't call that poly. I'd call that swinger or call that like an open relationship.
Or like non-monogamy.
Yeah, non-monogamy. I mean, polyamory and non-monogamy, I feel are like
I feel they're similar, but in my mind, I see polyamory as more established relationships with multiple people.
But like polyamory, open, whatever. That's not
open would be. Yeah.
That's all non-monogamy, right? Like it all falls under non-monogamy.
Yeah.
So you're either monogamous or you're not monogamous, and how you're not monogamous can be a bunch. I mean, you can be non-monogamous and cheating, right? And that's the difference between non-monogamy and ethical non-monogamy, right? Like,
so true.
Like non-monogamy is just cheating. Right. But like not everybody puts the ethical on there. It doesn't have to be there or whatever.
Yeah. Oh, it's a wild.
Yeah. I never get sick of talking about it.
It's just one of those things where I go, yeah, I can totally accept that as humans, we want to fuck a lot of people, or at least for men anyways. The whole point is spread your seed. So it makes sense that you'd want to fuck a lot of people.
Yeah. Isn't it 98% of animals or some dumb thing like that? 99% are like, don't mate for life.
Yeah. It's like a large number.
And so like, why do we think we're so fucking special that we're like, do you know what, like, cause we're like more refined than like the fucking lions or whatever. Like,
yeah. And I guess where I fall with that is like, I can understand the idea of multiple loves, but I see them as chapters in my life and not things that all happen at once. Yep. And that's why I identify as monogamous. Because I'm like, yeah, this might not work out and maybe I'll fall in love with someone else. But like for now, like this is it.
So this is interesting though. So now would you, if you were in a long-term relationship, would you consider ever having it open in a way that you guys would maybe together fool around with other people? Like just as like a base level, is that something you'd ever be open to?
That's a fucking hard question.
Yeah.
Because I really do think, unfortunately, I listen to a lot of advice relationship podcasts where people...
Yeah, you do? What a surprise. What a surprise. You do? No way.
Well, people write in with questions.
Yeah.
And a lot of them are like these situations where things go awry because they bring in a third.
Yeah.
And it never goes well. And so, like, I think that is... I think if it was like let's go to a sex party and fool around with maybe another girl or something as a one-off experience, yes. But if it was like let's bring in a third to see regularly, I don't know. So I think that that's something that I really do think it can be very fucking hard to do well.
You are telling someone who knows.
I know, and like, I feel like you do it well, which is why...
Well, I think we do it well. We do it well because we bring people into the situation when they need to be. So like we fight, of course. I fight with my other partner, of course. We fight. Like the only people that don't fight are the two girls, which is the funniest part about it, because you'd think, like, I think for most people they're jealous, but Sam and Mickey, they never fight.
Really?
No, never. Like they know,
Who fights?
They know I'm the idiot, right? Like they that's their common bond, is I'm the dumb one. So they can, like, we already know this. Right?
Oh
no, who
God.
fights? Sam and I fight, Mickey and I fight, of course. Mickey and I don't fight that much, right? But like our relationship is one that, like, we see each other once a week, maybe twice if there's things going on, right? And she's got, I don't know. I'm going to say this. I'll ask her if she's like she's got a boyfriend. They've been together for 5 years, and and see, he doesn't do this. He lets her do it, and then she's he's fine with it. He doesn't have any interest in it.
So she's been with her other partner longer than you.
Yeah.
Okay. So now my other dumb straight question is like, are there hierarchies?
Yeah. So, okay, wait, hold on. Let's come back to hierarchies. Let's come back to hierarchies. I'm happy to talk till whenever you want. And you can cut this into 2 episodes.
I fucking love this, Ryan. This is great.
Do you really?
Yeah, I do, because I like being able to ask dumb straight questions to someone who can have the conversation.
This goes back to all of it, right? Is like you are ignorant about this, but you are curious.
I don't know shit.
You want to be informed, right?
I want to know how it's done because I really do, because the only examples of it that I've seen are the ones that it's not been done well.
Right. Yeah.
So like, I want to understand how this very complex thing works.
Yeah. So hierarchies we can come back to in a second, but what I wanted to say about the fighting and stuff like that, right, is this idea that, like, look, I wasn't monogamous when I met Sam. I had elements of ethical non-monogamy that I had experienced, whether that's swinging, whether that's like hooking up with couples or whatever. That's the same thing. Whether that's bringing in another person, whatever. So I'd had experiences. But if you had asked me if I was romantically monogamous, I would say 100% absolutely yes. Like, I cannot imagine it. If it works for other people, like you just said, if it works for other people, no problem. You do your thing, right? But it doesn't affect me, and therefore I don't need to worry about it, right? I would date polyamorous women if I met them online, if they had another partner, because at the time there wasn't really a thing, like, I don't know if you've heard of solo polyamory, which is essentially someone is polyamorous, identifies as polyamorous, but they're single. Right. So they're saying that, like, I am polyamorous. I will date a bunch of people. Do not expect me to be monogamous with you. Right. But like a few years ago, I don't think that was as popular of
But they're not like
phrase.
dating any of them?
They're not in what they would call a relationship. Maybe. Or like they don't have a primary.
Okay.
So they're solo poly.
That blew my mind.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
So yeah, there's lots of people who identify as solo polyamorous, because for them, then when they're on a dating app, they can put I'm not looking for monogamy. Right? Like, I would love to go on a date with you. That might turn into a relationship, but I'm not looking for monogamy. So you need to be okay. And that's basically where Sam was. Now, I could have said, hey, look, I don't want this, so I'm not going to go out on a date with this girl. I am well within my rights. I'm not judging her for it, but I can make my own decisions, right? Yep. But I thought, no, this girl is hot. So like, what's the worst case scenario, right? Like, it was the summer.
Listen, that's an honest answer.
Yeah. I was like, the worst case scenario is we like have crazy group sex with a bunch of people. And then I'm like, but I can't fall in love with anyone else. So if you're not into that, that's fine. Right. But I took a step to something that, like, I never thought was for me. And it's made my life, like, infinitesimally, whatever that word is, better than like it has ever felt.
Interesting.
And it is the best relationship I've ever been in by far. Because people are like, what's the number one question? What's the number one question I get asked when I tell people I'm polyamorous?
I don't know. Was it the one that I asked you?
No. But like, don't you get jealous? Don't you get jealous?
Fucking fair. Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
That's the number one. Well,
yeah.
I think it's okay for some people, but like, no. Well, no, yes, of course I do. Of course I get jealous.
Yeah.
Of course. If you say you don't get jealous, like, I love Sam. I want her to myself. I just want her to be mine. Right. But like, that's dumb. Like, she's great. Why don't I want to like share that light with the world? But like, when we were in the pandemic and we were the two of us in our tiny little fucking apartment, like, it was bliss. It was awesome. We just have such a great time with each other. right? That like if everything else went away tomorrow, like, and it was just us, like, I'd be cool. Like if for whatever reason I couldn't do comedy, I couldn't go to parties like this, I couldn't, like, people were just like, whatever reason you can't. I love Sam. I love her, and like that's cool. I love all this other stuff, and like it enhances my life, it betters my life. But like, and that comes from, I think, when I met Sam, I was happier with myself than I'd ever been.
There, that's so key.
Right? So the base is I'm good, then hey, she's great and we're good, and then you get to kind of like build whatever other relationships out that you want.
Sprinkles on the Sunday.
Yeah. Everything is like, yeah, exactly. Or like different things on the Sunday, right? Like, you know,
not necessary, but nice.
Yeah. I used to call it a garden, and it's so cheesy, but like someone gave me a good example. They're like, yeah, some things you just plant in the summer. Sometimes it's summer and you want to have a summer romance, right? And then like, that's what it's going to be, right? You go away for the summer, someone's in town, whatever, right? But it's not for everybody. And I think what I want people to know or to think about is that like, you don't have to be religious. It's not for everybody. That's cool, right? But like, we don't need to judge people who are.
Yeah, exactly.
Who cares? But the religion also has to say, hey, look, like, I'm not gay, but like, or I don't want to have an abortion, but like, if you do,
cool,
I can't really do anything about it. Right. As long as I want to continue to have my bodily autonomy or my choices to practice religion, then like, you should have your choices to get an abortion if you need to.
All comes down to control. You can't control.
No.
Yeah.
And so if we could just get to that point, like, look, I don't need to like everything about you.
Yeah.
It's the same. No. It's all the same, right? But polyamory is, you asked about hierarchies, then, you know, whatever, we can finish. But like, some people have hierarchies, and they're very specific.
Like primary partner.
Primary, secondary, whatever. Like there's all sorts of different, I mean, someone is way smarter than me on all the options, but Sam is my girlfriend. We live together. We're planning a life together. Mickey, I love her. Like I care about her. I have zero thought in my life that like, she's not ever going to be a partner of mine. Like I just can't, I'm like, she's not going to fuck it up. I'm not going to fuck it up. At least not to a point where like, we're not going to want to talk to each other anymore.
It's a strong bond.
Yeah, it's a strong bond, right? Now, maybe she gets to a point where her and her boyfriend get married and they move away, whatever. There's a million things that could happen, right? But I don't consider Sam, like, if you were to ask, yeah, she's my primary. Of course, we live together, all that stuff. There's an inherent hierarchy there. Right? We've been together longer.
Paying rent. Yeah.
Right? We pay rent together, right?
Yeah.
There's an inherent hierarchy, but I think like I don't treat them any different. I don't think they would feel that there's a hierarchy other than just knowing that there is, right? Like there's just inherently like now, but there are couples who like they're a throuple, right? And they live together. And so they have that. But even still, in general, unless they all met on the same day, you have different relationships with people, right? You have different dynamics. I mean, we have best friends, right? We have best friends, and then we have friends, and we have acquaintances, and there's all those sorts of things, right? And it's just the same in polyamory, right? Like you have your best friends, you have your partners, your whatever, right? And then you have your friends that you like to hang out with and do stuff with, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's just fascinating because in my stupid mind, I just want to, I instantly want to go linear with it and go, oh, well, if you're, it's like a job, like years of experience. Like if you're dating someone longer, they should be the primary. But I guess that's not how that works, right? Like,
well, I think it is how it works. I just don't think it like it. We know we don't have to put the labels on it,
right?
Unless the partner needs the label, right? The partner might need people to know that they're their primary because that's where they're going to feel most secure.
Right.
Sam doesn't need that. Mickey doesn't need that. They know it, within them. Sometimes, when there's new people who, I start seeing or they start seeing, it gets a little rattly. Like it gets a little like, okay, where is this person going to fit in now? And,
it's probably, that's a lot.
Yeah. But because it's, I mean, on any given day, new people pop into your life, right?
Yeah.
And like when you're polyamorous, that can be any type of thing.
Yeah.
Right? Like it's
interesting.
It's exciting. It's exciting. It adds a level of excitement to the world, I think.
That's fascinating. And I do think like there's also the stigma on like open relationships.
Of course.
Because it's just something that like, again, if done incorrectly, could just trash a whole situation.
Yeah.
If like communication's not there, and I imagine an open relationship would involve a very logical conversation of how are we doing this? Are we telling each other?
Yeah.
Or is it full? Like, cause some just don't tell each other.
Well, yeah. And I mean, if that's your boundaries. So for example, I know people who, their partner is polyamorous, and they are not, or whatever, right? Like,
okay.
And they make it work. It's harder for sure, of course.
That would be tough.
But they have boundaries that, for example, the person who's not polyamorous might not want to know what's going on. They're like, you can go out. I know when you're going to come home. Right. I don't want to know who you're seeing. I don't want to know anything about it. I just don't want to know. Right. And that's not ideal for them, but ideal for them is monogamy, and they're not going to have that. So they're going to
need to find the way to do it.
They need to find a way if they care enough. Now,
yeah,
I cannot imagine myself being able to do that. Right. I need to be in it, or like, we're not doing it. Like, I don't, yeah. But there's times where like, we're not on the apps. We're not necessarily like looking for other partners. We're just like enjoying the partnerships that we have right now.
Right.
We're not looking for anything.
Right.
And so you get to pick and choose, right? Like,
it's a buffet.
It's a buffet. It really is. And again, I could not imagine doing this with any of my exes. And that's not to shade on them, right? That wasn't the relationship we had. I wouldn't have been at a point in my life. Of course I get jealous. Like the guy that I'm seeing right now, I won't say much about him because I think he's kind of shy, but like he is like much more handsome than me and like very fit and like charming guy, right? And of course I have like awkwardness about that, right? Of course. And he's new to polyamory. He wants to like get involved in the community, right? Oh, okay. So he's like around. I see him, right? And that's hard. Of course it's fucking hard. But do I want to get to a point like he makes Sam happy? He makes her so happy, right? And like not in a way that I don't, or like in a better way than me, but like
in a different way.
We have real life things to worry about that they don't, right? Like we love each other, but like we have to pay bills. We have to worry about who's going to do the groceries. They have to worry about where are they going for dinner or what are they going to do with their evening. Like there's not those extra things to worry about, right? So it's nice to go and have a little vacation from your real life with someone. It's nice to go and have, whatever, right? And I'll tell you what, I love the nights that I have alone. Like a night off just from life. I get to be single again. I get to sit in the house and watch TV and stay up as late as I want and eat whatever I want. And I don't have to like,
nice,
if
right?
I want to watch one more show, I get to watch one more show. Right. So like, that's a benefit too.
Freedom.
Right. You have your freedom without being alone.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, that is really fascinating.
But
how do you manage the jealousy?
Not well. I don't know. That's where our fights come in. Like, that's where like,
what triggers it? Is it,
yeah, I don't know.
Is it allocation of time, maybe? That type of thing? Like where you feel like maybe...
like I mean, I think
time is...
At a base level, what it is like I need to feel in all elements of my life respected.
Yeah.
And I need to feel like, not that you have to fear me or that I'm better than you or anything, but just acknowledge that like if we care about each other. And like, look, every comic in this scene I care about, just at a level that like,
I don't of a person.
Sorry,
you're too good of a person. No, I'm just joking.
I care about people because like
you're a people person, like we've talked about. You
but like, but I don't like all of them. I don't need to be friends with all of them.
Yeah, that's right.
But like, I like them all. Yeah. I care about them. I hope that they do well. I hope that if they have a bad set, they don't beat themselves up about it. I hope if they, are working on a joke, it goes well.
It's a baseline
right?
level
Like
of caring.
I don't want anyone to fail. Mm-hmm. I don't want, like,
right.
I care about them.
Yeah.
Right. So like, what if we just all just did that, Sarah?
Right.
Like what? Like I forget what your question was. I keep going
jealousy. Just what triggers it and how you deal with it.
I just,
or just generally speaking.
Sometimes it's really bad. Sometimes I'm like I've never been to a point where I have said like I don't want you to see this person anymore.
Right.
And neither has Sam. Right. Like she gets even less jealous than I do. Like she has no jealousy issues whatsoever. But we got to a point where like, I was pretty hurt about some things that she did, like really, really hurt, like to a point where like I asked her to like leave the apartment like one night. And it was really bad. Yeah. But I went to bed that night. It was like 3 a.m. I can't believe I'm telling this. I'm sorry, Sam.
I mean,
She's
we
fine.
can cut it if you want.
No. We don't have to cut it. I think it's important for people to hear this stuff. And if I can put it out there.
It's shedding a light on it.
She's not like,
yeah.
She made a mistake, right? A bad one. And like it crushed me, but like she never made it again. And so I love her, so I can forgive that. Like, and that's the thing. Like there is nothing that I think that she could do that like I would break up with her. Like, I love her that much that like, I'm like, we are all human beings. We all make mistakes, and it's nice because like with polyamory, you're like, well, what if she cheated on you? And like, you can still cheat in polyamory.
Yeah.
Right?
That's something people don't understand.
Yeah. Of course.
You can for sure cheat
you can break
in
the
polyamory.
rules. And that's what happened in this particular situation. Like a big rule was broken that we had. But like, we're learning. Right. And so
yeah.
I'm it's way more often better than it's not. Right? Like it's not perfect all the time. If your relationship is perfect all the time, again, it goes back to if you're happy all the time, if your relationship's perfect all the time, then like, I don't believe you.
Something's
not real here. Or you're just fucking lucky. Congratulations.
Like, that's why like this conversation, because you're shedding light on the cracks that can arise.
Of course.
And so much of love is trusting that person that they're going to make mistakes, but that you can get through it together.
Yeah.
And that's the sense I'm getting with you and Sam. Like shit's going to happen. Mistakes are going to be made and people are going to be pissed and you might need space.
Yeah.
But like you can work through it together and like you'll learn from lessons.
Yeah.
Like learning from lessons is like a huge thing. Cause I don't know if I necessarily agree with the once a cheater, always a cheater.
Of course not.
I don't think I believe that.
Yeah.
I think it is in humans to be able to change.
Yeah. It's more like for me, like the way I look at life is for me, that sort of thing would be like, 5 times a cheater, probably a cheater.
That's right.
Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying always, of course.
10 times a cheater, definitely probably a cheater.
Yeah, definitely probably a cheater. But like, again, like, look, if I lived to 81 and, 60 of my years I was an alcoholic and the last 10 I wasn't. Do I die an alcoholic? Like, do you know what I mean? Do I die,
right?
Like that person, right?
That's so true.
Even some of the worst people, not the worst people, I consider worst people Jeffrey Epstein, Harvey Weinstein, Hitler, right? Like
pretty bad.
2 Jews and a German guy. Like what the fuck? Come on.
Pretty bad people. Yeah.
Anyway, I don't consider those like those are bad people. Those are people that like, look, I don't have any redeeming quality for. I can find empathy because I'm dumb and I can find empathy for anyone. Like to me, I'm like, I look at someone like Hitler and I'm like, what the fuck, man? Like how the fuck did that happen to you? Like that's insane.
That's
like,
not dumb though. That's a good quality to have as a human.
I hope so.
Empathy.
I hope so.
I think more people need to have it.
But yeah. And then there's people where you're like, okay, take Bill Cosby. Okay. Right. He did a lot for Black people, right? Did he do everything? No. Was he like fucking like some of the things that he did super condescending? Absolutely. Like he did this whole like pull up your pants shit. And it's like, dude, shut up. Like,
right.
Put on another sweater, right? Like it's fine. But the thing is that like you cannot dismiss his achievements as a actor, as like a humanitarian. Yep. Right? You can't dismiss them. They happened.
Can't
right?
Dismiss Michael Jackson's hits.
You can't. Yeah, no, exactly.
And
you cannot dismiss this about these people. J.K. Rowling, look, like say what you want about her, but I think Harry Potter was pretty formidable for a lot of people growing up. I kind of just missed it, but like I know people who like that's their whole personality, right?
Yeah.
So she did, for better or worse, had an impact on society, right? Now, they should have, when they die, things about their crimes or whatever in their obituaries. That's what I believe. Like, but it should also be acknowledged that there were things that they did that like made a big impact on the world. Right.
Yeah.
And so that's just to me, like, that's what it should be. I feel like I'm just saying the same thing over and over in different.
What? Like, if you think about like humans, like kind of what you're saying, it's like we're all bags of like a mixture of like biology and like DNA.
Yeah.
experiences and circumstance. Like, you know, you look at like school shooters.
Yeah.
Like, I can't have empathy for school shooters.
You can't?
Well,
oh, see, yeah, like those, like.
Well, let me rephrase. There was like that tower shooting. I don't know, it wasn't a school, but there was a guy who shot people from a tower.
Oh, in Vegas.
No, like even before that, like long ago. And they opened up his brain.
Right.
And found a tumor.
Right.
That essentially took over his brain. That person was given a shitty bag.
Yep. Absolutely.
and that's what happened. All of those combinations combined into a person that was going to kill a bunch of people.
Yeah.
The school shooter thing, yes, like there's elements that I can because I do think those people were isolated, and isolation causes aggression, and they were clearly mental illness up the yin yang.
Yeah.
Right? So that part I empathize with, but I have trouble. Like those are I don't know. I'm deep into the Parkland trial stuff.
Right. Yeah.
And I'm struggling to feel any empathy for that piece of shit.
For Alex Jones?
For the
no,
Parkland.
Sorry.
Sorry. You're thinking Sandy Hook.
It's very hard to keep
Same
all
idea,
of
though.
that. Yeah, very hard to keep them all straight.
All the pieces of shit. But the Nicholas Cruz who shot up Parkland. Like I think because I went down the rabbit hole and I'm hearing all the hearing all the victim statements and I'm hearing from the parents and I'm hearing it's tough for me.
Yeah.
But again, I can look at that person and go, well, yeah, okay, something happened here with this person that made him who he is.
Yeah.
You know? And he did not get to a point like Michael Jackson did with obviously having a part of him that created amazing music.
Yeah.
Or Bill Cosby having a part of him that did this amazing stuff.
Yeah.
Like,
I think I know what you're saying. I think that like to me, like so the empathy that I have for a school shooter.
Yeah. This is wild. I don't know. This might be a Patreon episode.
I don't know.
We'll have to think about this one.
The empathy I have is what you just said. He, probably had a crazy stuff going on. Probably had some undiagnosed mental health issues. Probably had, and like, look, that's not to say. Look, I think it's important to always remember. They say this on The View all the time. That people who have mental health issues are far more likely to be the target of violence as opposed to the ones committing the violence, right? Like that's it's far more likely they will have violence perpetrated upon them than to do it.
Yeah.
Now, all that being said, I think there's probably some mental health issues there. Is it the only reason? No, absolutely not. There's a million reasons. Yeah. Guns being readily available is one of the main reasons, right? Like, look, do I think like maybe he watched Dave Chappelle and saw the trans thing and got angry about it? Maybe, but that's not the main reason. Like, you know, that's maybe a 1% reason or 2% reason, right? Now, all that being said, there are many words like, I think I've been following the January 6th stuff, right?
Yeah.
And like, they're very clearly linking what Trump said to what's going on, like what happened. Like it is very clear. Is it going to do anything? Who the fuck knows? But like, it is very clear that like he said it and they were reading outside the Capitol, reading it and saying Mike Pence didn't do his job. And they started yelling, let's hang Mike Pence. Like that is a very direct coalition to like what was going on. Right now, I don't think anyone could probably draw that line between, Dave Chappelle and any trans, whatever, right? Violence, right? Which is very real. Again, very real. Maybe someone could. I'd love to, other than just
hear it out.
Speculation. Yeah. So I can have empathy for a school shooter because I look at it and I say, look, this guy had all these things, but he's not remorseful and he should do as much prison time as humanly possible. If you're in a state and like the death penalty is a thing, I guess.
That's what's going on right now. They're trying to figure out how to sentence him.
I'm not a death penalty person myself because like I would rather people die.
Stuff like with the...
No. I would rather people have the time to
reflect,
find redemption, even just within themselves.
Yeah.
Right?
That's
like
true.
I think that comes with time. He's what, 18, 19 years old, 20 years old?
Yeah.
Right? Like, are you kidding me? The fucking mistakes I made. Did I shoot up a school? Fuck no, right? But like I made bad mistakes. Of course. I wish I didn't. But like I'm glad I made them when I was young enough to
recover.
To do something about them.
And this is the thing too, like I really do think that like the tumor thing biology, chemicals, like whatever bag you're given, has so much to do with it. Because even like with Columbine, like I guess like one of the mothers of one of the Columbine shooters like wrote a book about it.
Yeah.
And she was very open with being like, I had no fucking idea. Yeah. Like whatever mental health was going on with that person, forget which one it was, Dylan or their names don't matter. It was not a noticeable thing. It's not like he was like withdrawing from social situations or showing like any of the glaring signs of mental illness. And that's where I go, something's going on there that's different from the average person.
Yeah. But like
biologically,
my parents didn't know what was going on with me at that age.
But you had a good brain.
I had a good brain, but like I mean, okay, you want a story?
But this is really like a nature versus nurture kind of conversation.
Yeah.
I guess.
So when I was 14, I logged on the internet and I went into a chat room with men and met a guy who was probably like in his 40s, and he picked me up and he did stuff, and then he dropped me off, and that was it.
How old?
I was 14.
Oh
I was 14.
God, Ryan. Yeah.
And like, I can't believe I'm saying this. I'm never doing the roast battle again. There's going to be so much material for people.
They're not getting to this point.
Yeah. No one's listening anymore. Except for Sam, because I'm making her listen. No. So anyways, that happened. Like, look, I was 14 and it was like awful, right? Like that's awful, right? But I knew what I was doing. Like I knew enough what I was doing. Looking back, as a 14-year-old, do I think that I was like capable of making that sort of a decision? Absolutely not. But I knew what I was doing. No one was forcing me to be there. Nobody was. Do you know what I mean? Like I knew what I was doing. And that is gross. That's gross. But like I can be upset about that, or I can acknowledge that like that person was fucked up and needed help, and God, I hope they got it. Like that's empathy at its core, right? Yeah. To go like, yeah, what that was fucked up, but there's a reason things are fucked up. Like there's a reason people are fucked up. Some people you got it, then you take that empathy and you put it away, right? Like I don't think about giving any of those shooters any of my empathy. It's there. I can acknowledge it if I want to pull it out and like, and read it, right? And say like, look, hey, he did this and he did that, but like these are many reasons why. And like, people, it's like that Anne Frank quote, right? Like I believe that people at their core are good, right?
Yeah, we're all born babies.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. And everything we do gets us to a point where, these are the human beings that we are, right?
And that's the thing.
So do I like you now? Yes, I like you now.
Yeah.
Right? I don't know what you've done.
Yeah.
I don't know, you and I don't have a super close relationship. I have friends that have hurt me or I've hurt them and we've been able to bounce back from it, right? Mm-hmm. And that's fantastic. Mm-hmm. I have friends that I don't talk to anymore because we weren't able to get over XYZ, right? But I love them and I care about them, and there's nobody, honest to God, I can't think of a single person that if they, from any time in my life, that if they like called me right now and were like, hey, I'd like to chat about, I haven't talked to you in forever, right? Like I'd like to chat. Like, can we talk about what happened between us? I would love to.
You'd be down, yeah.
I would love to.
I'm the same.
Yeah. Because I know I'm sure you've hurt people, right? Like we've hurt people, right? We all hurt people. If someone's still carrying that around, I feel awful about it.
Are you someone who wants to reach out? Like I have a list of names actually that I'm going through.
That you're reaching out to people?
Yeah. Slowly but surely. It's not like an AA thing. It's more just like, I feel like I need to clear.
It depends on the person.
Yeah.
I would ask myself, am I doing this for them or am I doing it for me?
Oh, that's great.
Right? Because
that is a great way to look at it.
There's people that I've hurt that are probably happier never hearing from me again.
That's so true.
Right? And then there's people that I think I have hurt and have hurt me, and we had relationships like my ex of my girlfriend that I had for 3 years, right? We lived together, we bought a place together, we had a dog, the whole 9 yards, and then we broke up. And it was a pretty good breakup at first, and then it got really, really shitty, and then we were friends for a while, and then now I haven't talked to her in years. She is still Facebook friends last time I checked with like a bunch of my friends as well as my parents because she was in my life, right? Sometimes I'll see she'll like a Facebook post that my parents posted, a picture that I'm in. So I know that she knows some idea of what's going on with my life, right? I would reach out to her one day. I would be like, hey, you know, I was shit a lot of the times as your boyfriend. That sucks. And I'm so sorry about that. And like, but like, I don't feel the need to right now. But like, again, if it's someone where like, there's people who I wouldn't reach out to who don't want me to reach out to them.
Right.
Right? Like we parted on those bad terms, right? Sometimes because of me, sometimes because of them.
My thing is like, it's tough to know, right?
Yeah.
It's tough to know when like you don't,
of
like
course,
from afar, you're not really sure.
Yeah. But do you think that like, I guess another question to ask is like, do you think that they still think about it?
Some, yes. There's others that I'm like, it was a shit situation that ended the friendship. And then I have to think, did I like this friend enough? And would I like this friend enough to what's the word? Not reunite. Rekindle.
Reconnect.
Like, is it worth it for me? Look, there's one friend in particular that like, oh my God, I did a shitty thing.
Yeah.
Like a real shitty thing that like, when I think about it, my stomach drops still.
Yeah.
And it was a situation where she called me out on it and I was just like, you're right. I don't have a defense. Like you're 100% correct in everything you're saying.
Yeah.
And then it's like, apologize at the time, haven't talked to her since, but like, it's like almost like wanting to re-apologize or I don't even know. It's just like people from your past. I always think about people from my past that like I've lost touch with. It's something that's on my mind a lot. I think just as somebody with not a lot of friends, I'm instantly now going back through the magazine of past friends.
So it's funny. So oh my God, I can't believe we're still going.
Yeah, we gotta end this.
Yeah. Okay, this is all I'll say. This
Final
is
thought.
Do you want like an awful Ryan story before we go? So I when I was 23 or so, I slept with like one of my best friend's girlfriends while they were still together. Like,
oh shit,
full on slept with her. Like,
it's a big mistake.
Yep. And my friend found out and rightly was fucking furious with me. And we didn't talk for like years. And he continued to date her. He didn't dump her, which like say what you want, right? But like that's fine.
Choices were made.
And a year or two later, we reconnected and he messaged me and he's like, hey, can we hang out? I'd like to chat with you about some things. I was like, cool, yeah, sure. So anyways, we got together and we sat and we talked and it turned out that she had slept with lots of his friends or lots of other people. I shouldn't say lots of his friends, but lots of other people. Okay. And there had been cheating. And he said like, look, you know, obviously what you did was shitty. I'm like, yeah, of course it was. It was fucking awful. Like that, you are my friend. I feel awful about that. I'm sorry. Like I was fucking dumb and horny. Like there's no excuse. No excuse.
Yep. Full accountability.
But it wasn't malicious. I didn't do it to like fuck you over or anything like that. Like that was a part of it, but that wasn't why
it was
I
a
was
mistake.
doing it. I was doing it because I was horny. Like bottom line.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
And he said like, you know, that's great. He's like, I probably should have at least dumped her too. Like, you know, it's not, I wish I had maybe talked to you a little bit more about it, but like I was angry, rightly so. Great. We're still friends now. Do you know what I mean? So like, totally that's an awful thing that I did but like, there are other things I've done that like, I wouldn't reach out to people.
Yeah, that's right. And now you can see that person on the street and say hi versus having a sinking feeling in your stomach and
having a friggin' panic attack,
having to like ignore them.
Yeah.
So it's interesting.
Yeah.
I'm going to assume that future me is going to cut this up into 2 episodes.
Yeah, that's cool.
So I'm going to end that. I'm going to do the poly stuff and then everything from poly to now as maybe an extra episode.
Yeah, sure.
So thank you, Ryan, for this extra episode. And then, but now
do we got to make it go?